Today we're doing an unboxing from the SpeedCubeShop, and the bag is very dirty, so I'm gonna just get everything out all at once and throw that to the side, and then we will dive into it. I think I'm gonna work from probably the smallest up to the biggest, but this is a preview of everything that I've got here. Got a lot of good stuff to go through, but like I said, let's start with the smallest things, and then we will work our way up to all of the larger objects next. So to kick us off, we're going to start with this little keychain Pyraminx. I have a GON 330 that I take with me pretty much everywhere these days, and I saw that this little cute Pyraminx was available, and as I've been training a lot for Pyraminx due to the Cubing at Home Season 2.2, I figured this would be another nice little addition to the bag that I carry around. It turns pretty well. Obviously it's not magnetic or anything, and it has just a little tiny nub. You can compare the two sizes here. So I mean, it's about the size of a Pyraminx compared to a standard Rubik's Cube. So I mean, the sizing makes a lot of sense. And yeah, so that's gonna go on my kind of everyday carry bag from here on out. Next up, let's look at the 2x2 mirror blocks. I got two of these, so the 2x2 I got in gold, and as you can kind of see up top, the 3x3 I got in silver. So those are the little instructions, which I may need to reference again in the future, but we'll hope not. I'm pretty sure that this operates pretty similar to a 2x2, but instead of solving it by color, you have to solve it by the shape. It turns super nicely. I was not really expecting that, but yeah, it turns great. It has a nice little soft noise to it as well. Yeah, I think that the 3x3 would probably be a little bit harder to turn because you have to worry about 3 of those layers to get all adjusted perfectly. But the 2x2 turns pretty nicely. And of course, I messed it up and then was struggling to solve it. So instead of having you just sit through and watch me mess with it forever, let's go ahead and jump onto the 3x3 mirror blocks, and we will see what this is about. So this is the one that I got in silver. I figured they're two different brands and they're two different puzzle sizes, so why not go ahead and get them in two different colors? That way I can easily tell them apart. And the 3x3, if I can get it out of the packaging, there we go. I love how you can kind of see the reflection of it on the mat as it sits there. And just like the 2x2, it turns really nicely. Very smooth, really easy to get a turn on. And it seems like the layers don't get too messed up as you're turning, but I'm not going to scramble that one since I couldn't even fix the 2x2 during this video. Now let's get to one that I am super excited about. It's the Penguin 2x2. Penguins are probably one of my favorite animals and have been for all of my life. And so when I saw this, I just had to get it. Anytime we go to the zoo, I camp out at the penguin enclosures for as long as the people with me are willing to stand. And I just love watching them waddle around and swim real cool. And they have such unique personalities. It just seems so sassy. I love it. And this boy looks great. I think that the backside of him will be a little hard to tell apart, so I'm not going to scramble him while I'm on this video since I've already failed at one 2x2, but the only thing that's really distinguishing the two back halves of his head from one another is how the little arm nubs connect to the bottom. So I can definitely foresee that becoming a problem if you don't plan for it accordingly. So let's set him aside and jump into the YJ 4x4. I have the little tiny YJ 4x4, the mini, and I enjoy that a lot, but I wanted to get a feel for how the full-sized MGC 4x4 looks and turns, and because it's more of the standard traditional size of puzzle. I love their boxes, by the way. The packaging YJ has is great. Just like all the other YJ shades, this looks great. I really love the MGC color palette, and that they're very consistent across all of them. I'm going to grab the smaller one that I have so you can see it next to it. It's not that much smaller, but in the hand it definitely is noticeable. That little ½ centimeter or whatever that's shaved off is very noticeable when you're actually doing turns. And this 4x4 feels giant compared to the one that I'm used to. So I'm going to have to play with it and get used to it. But the turns and everything itself feel great. It's just exactly what I would expect from YJ. I love their MGC line. I use the MGC Elite 2x2, and pretty much all the bigger cubes that I have are MGCs or their mini versions. Yeah, so I think that I will probably do a solve of this at the end of the video, but I'm going to probably go ahead and fix the mirror cube 2x2 first. So let's jump to that and at least redeem myself from how terribly I did beforehand. Now that I had some time to investigate it and do some extra turns and kind of figure out what my game plan was going to be moving forward, is that I started with the smallest layer first and left the big layer for last. And so that way I was looking for all the skinniest pieces first and getting them solved into a layer. And then instead of trying Ortega to solve the top layer, I decided I would go back and do the kind of beginner method, so I was solving it layer by layer instead. So that worked a lot nicer for me, because with the shape shifting kind of puzzles, it was very hard to tell which alg I needed for the Ortega case, and I just said forget it, I'm gonna do this other thing instead, which turned out to be the better method. And like I promised, here is a 4x4 solve as kind of a palate cleanser for how terribly I did at everything else. And instead of talking over this entire thing, I think I'll just let you listen to this awesome lo-fi background music, and I'll come back at the end. So after that pretty normal solve, I ended up with a PLL parity, and it took me a little bit to remember how to solve for that, but eventually I got it, And during that end part, my smart lights, of course, decided it was time to turn off because I was up past my bedtime. So everything kind of went dark there at the end. But yeah, that was this box opening. Got a lot of great stuff from SpeedCubeShop. So thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications whenever I post the next videos. Thanks, happy cubing, and see you next time. Bye.